Hello, Duke fans. Welcome in to the Duke Blue Devils Insider Podcast, your daily podcast for all things Duke Blue Devils news. Just like every day, we thank you so much for tuning into the show today and getting your latest on the Duke Blue Devils. My name is Hugh Strain, your daily host, as well as beat writer at Duke Blue Devils on SI. And if you watched our show yesterday and you watched the game on Saturday night, you know that the number 3 ranked Duke Blue Devils picked up not only the best win of its season, but likely the best win in college basketball this season as the Blue Devils take down number 1 Michigan at Capital One Arena in Washington, D.C., 68-63. Blue Devils improved to 25-2 on the season, now winners of 4 in a row. And Duke now primed to become the new number 1 team in the AP poll and the new number 1 overall projected seed in the 2026 NCAA tournament. Entering the contest on Saturday night, Michigan was the top overall projected seed. Duke was the second, 1 seed off the board in terms of those projections. So got to imagine that those two switch spots after Duke picked up one of the more quality wins, if not the biggest quality win of college basketball all season long. Duke entered the game, like we just said, at number 3 in the AP poll, Michigan number 1. Number 2, Houston also faced off against number 4, Arizona on the same day. So a bit of a Final Four potential preview over the weekend for college basketball fans. So got to imagine the AP poll after this weekend. Arizona took down Houston, so I got to think it's going to go Duke at 1, and then Arizona at 2, and then Michigan at 3 or 4 in whatever order. Likely Michigan at number 3, and then Houston at number 4. All 4 of those schools probably still the projected 1 seeds in the NCAA tournament, but Duke is going to move into that top projected overall seed. It was a fantastic effort from the Blue Devils all night long, specifically on the defensive side of the ball. Limited a Michigan team that averages around 90 points per game to just 63 total points. This was the second time all season that Michigan has been held to under 70 points as a team. Michigan shoots 40% from the field, 6 of 25 from the three-point line. That's a 24% clip, and 13 of 18 from the charity stripe. Duke outscored Michigan in the paint, 34-24, out-rebounded the Wolverines 41-28, and 13-8 on the offensive glass. Duke's 18 second chance points bested 11 from Michigan's. Duke as a whole really just did everything that it needed to do to get the victory over the Wolverines. Michigan was coming into this game winners of 11 in a row, most recently taking down number 7 Purdue at Mackey Arena on Tuesday night, 91-80. We talked ad nauseum over the week that the glass was going to be probably the most important factor for the Blue Devils. Specifically in the first half against the Boilermakers, Michigan absolutely killed Purdue on the offensive glass. Duke did not let that happen. Controlled the glass, controlled the paint. 7'3" a dime. Mara missed a lot of time in this game, picked up 3 fouls fairly early in the first half, missed a lot of time. That obviously played dividends. But Cameron Boozer also missed a ton of time in the second half due to having 4 fouls. And Duke was still able to maintain that lead and keep the best team in college basketball at arm's length on a neutral floor without Cameron Boozer on the floor. I thought it was a major statement that the Blue Devils made, able to maintain that lead and close out games without Cameron Boozer on the floor. There had been questions throughout the season in a lot of Duke's marquee games that they were relying too much on Cameron Boozer on the offensive side of the ball down the stretch, which they were. And, credit to Cameron Boozer. He's been the best player in college basketball all season. He was getting Duke those wins. But in the long run, you're going to need more. And Duke was able to maintain that lead, led with its defense with Cameron Boozer on the floor. So Duke now heads into this as, kind of the new team to beat in the postseason and probably the generally viewed best team in college basketball. But also at this point, I think Cameron Boozer, Duke's freshman sensation, has officially cemented the National Player of the Year award. Obviously, it's early to say somewhat. I mean, it's not even really a hot take to say that. He's been so far and away in the lead for the National Player of the Year award for quite some time. But I think at this point of the season, it's fair to say that he's got that locked up after his performance against Michigan. In 34 minutes, Boozer goes for 18 points, 10 boards, 7 assists, and 2 blocks, 4 of those rebounds on the offensive glass, on 6 of 10 shooting from the field and 1 of 2 from 3. What I thought was the most impressive part about Boozer's performance against the Wolverines was because he didn't dominate in the scoring column and still found a way to be the best player on the floor. Maybe not in terms of the box score, but was the most valuable player on the floor all night for Duke. Against 7 assists for Boozer, that's 2 away from his career high with his Blue Devils in his lone season at Durham so far. But the way he was able to impact the game when the scoring wasn't going his way, I think says so much about the type of player he is and why he truly is the best player in all of college basketball. This was Boozer's 15th double-double all season long. Since ACC play has begun, he's tallied at least 17 points in every single game and has shot over 50 or under 50% from the field just once. Again, it's not a hot take to say he's the National Player of the Year favorite. It's been pretty clear for quite some time. However you want to look at it with the eye test, the computer numbers, just watching this guy play, whatever it might be, he is the most valuable player in college basketball. And then, just going over some of the numbers. So Cameron Boozer by far leads the country in offensive by Asian performance rating at evanmedia.com with a rating of 9.26. This essentially just measures the offensive value a player brings to his team when he's on the court versus when he's not. Cameron Boozer also leads the country in total by Asian performance rating, which is offensively and defensively combined, how valuable a player is to his team when he's on the floor versus off. Cameron Boozer also leads the country in box offensive by Asian performance rating and total box by Asian performance rating. That number essentially just measures, again, a player's value purely based off his box score statistics when he's on the floor for his team versus when he's not. Cameron Boozer has been the most consistently dominant player in college basketball. We've now talked about it in two different games for Duke so far, specifically the first one against North Carolina and against Michigan the other night, as those were the two teams that Duke has faced that have the length to match Duke down low. Michigan has a three-headed monster with 6'9" Yaxel Lendeborg, 6'9" Morez Johnson, and 7'3" Adai Mara. And then UNC boasts 7-footer Henry Vasar and 6'10" Caleb Wilson. Both those games, we talked a lot about the supporting cast over the week heading into the game for the Blue Devils, considering that this could be the game where Cameron Boozer was finally held in check, and it just didn't happen in either game. Against the Tar Heels, Cameron Boozer went for 24 points and 11 boards on 47.6% shooting, 2 of 4 from 3 to go along with 3 assists. And we just mentioned his stat line, 18 points, 10 boards, 7 assists on 6 of 10 shooting. It was close to a 20-point triple-double against the best defense at KenPom in college basketball. So again, he's quite literally been unstoppable this season. There has been no team, no front court, no defensive game plan that's been able to slow him down at all. And we just went over some of the numbers. It just isn't close. Just when looking at really the computer metrics, that Cameron Boozer is the best player in the country. So at KenPom, the algorithm for his National Player of the Year rating, Cameron Boozer obviously leads that with a 2.869 rating as of February 22nd. This is the highest KenPom National Player of the Year rating of all time. And for reference into how far and away Cameron Boozer is from the rest of the field, so we just said Boozer is at number 1 at 2.869. Iowa State forward Joshua Jefferson is in second at 1.785. So the gap between Boozer at 1 and Jefferson at 2 is 1.084 points. That is a massive, massive gap. And for reference into how massive that is, the gap between Joshua Jefferson at 1.785, the number 2 spot, and Iowa guard Bennett Sturtz, who's in the number 10 spot at the KenPom National Player of the Year rating list. So Jefferson at 1.785, Bennett Sturtz at number 10 at 1.411. That is a gap of 0.374. So it's ridiculous. The gap from 1 to 2, 1.084. The gap from 2 to 10 is 0.374. So we mentioned Cameron Boozer, the highest rating of all time. Last year, Cooper Flagg ended his freshman season with a KenPom Player of the Year rating of 2.734. So Cameron Boozer getting that. Besting Flagg by a little bit, but whichever way you want to cut it, Cameron Boozer is the best player in the country and has been literally unstoppable all season long. Wrote some pieces at si.com/college/Duke earlier this week, about how Darren Peterson's kind of lack of availability and continued sort of question marks regarding his play. Can that pave the way for Cameron Boozer to move up in that NBA draft mock board? Right now, pretty much every mock has either A.J. DeBonsa from BYU or Kansas's Darren Peterson at 1, 2 in whatever order, and then Cameron Boozer at number 3. Despite just the consistent success that Cameron Boozer has had, he has yet to surpass those two guards in DeBonsa and Peterson. Could Cameron Boozer's elite play mixed with Peterson's sort of lack of availability, potential attitude issues, could that pave the way for Boozer to move up? Who knows? But however you want to cut it, forget the NBA draft. Cameron Boozer is the best player in college basketball season, and I think with that performance against Michigan, how he adapted to, really some challenges he hasn't faced all season in terms of the scoring column, got a lot of his scoring late, but the fact that he adapted, used his passing to his advantage, and still managed to be the most valuable player on the floor, to me, seals the deal against the number 1 team in the country on the season. Boozer is now averaging 22.6 points. That's 5th in the country, to go along with 10.0 rebounds, 4.0 assists, and 1.6 steals a game on 58.2% shooting from the field, 39.6% from 3. I think at this point in the season, regular season is winding down. We're through 27 games. Cameron Boozer is the National Player of the Year, and the discussion is officially closed. That is going to do it for us here today at the Duke Blue Devils Insider Podcast. Just like every day, we thank you guys so much for tuning into the show today. Make sure to check us out at si.com/college/Duke to get your latest on the Duke Blue Devils every single day. Once again, my name is Hugh Strain, your daily host, as well as beat writer at Duke Blue Devils on SI, and I'll see you tomorrow.